and rain. Eyes are fire flame. We don't even know our names.
Thank you, Misty, for being on my show today, my very small podcast.
I love it. Thank you, Danny.
Yes, today we have Miss Misty Jayne, and she also has a podcast, and she is a money coach. Is that what we're calling it? Money coach?
Yeah. Yep.
Her podcast is called Starting Messy Podcast. And I saw Misty at the Balanced Stylist Society retreat that I went to last year. And she did a little talk on money, and it really made a difference and spoke to me a lot. And I really liked how you shared your story and like just the way you framed it versus like I've been involved with other money people before, and yours was just a little bit more normal.
Relatable. Yeah.
Relatable. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. So, yeah, I would love to have you like share your story, and then maybe we can get into talking about money, which nobody likes to talk about, but we need to. So
I like to make it fun. Yes, I agree with you. It's very interesting because even for me, back in 2016, I was a commission stylist and I was making great money. My husband and I was making the most money at that point, just to put that out there, between my husband and but we always, like, we were going on vacations, we were doing all the things, but like, we always felt like we didn't have enough money to like move forward in our lives. Right.
yeah.
And I remember just feeling like, well, I didn't even think learning how to manage my money was like a, a thing. Like I never even thought about it, right? I just thought, well, I don't want to restrict myself. You only live once, because that's a lot of the money narrative that is being like pushed to us, especially the Dave Ramseys of the world.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I think it was to the point, I think that's what it was. I had just had my son. And my husband and I lived in the same area our whole lives. And we would ride around this particular neighborhood. And I remember vividly one time riding around and going, we didn't go to college. We can never live here. Like I literally looked at him and went, did we fuck up? Like, did we mess up? Like, thinking that everyone that lived in the neighborhood had something that we could never have. Right. And once we had our son, I remember one day just going, we got to fix something. And I don't know what I thought we needed to fix. I was that person that was constantly Googling how to get out of debt. I knew we had debt. I didn't know how much debt we had. I never actually sat down. I would always just look at the minimum. Oh, well, we can afford the minimum, so we can afford it, right? And one day something just clicked and I sat down and I just started writing out all of our debt, like writing out, adding it all up, kind of seeing what was going on. And I was like, holy shit, we have $48,000 in debt, not including our mortgage, because at the time we were living in a smaller townhouse. And I didn't know that. Like I literally just didn't even, why look at it, right? Stick your head in the sand. If I look at it, it doesn't exist, which obviously is not true. And I actually did purchase, it was a $99 Dave Ramsey video. And I remember watching it and going, this is such common sense. Why has no one ever taught me this? And I was 30 some years old with a husband, a baby. I had been in the hair industry for I think 14, 15 years at that point. And I'm like, how is this not taught? Right. So we started kind of getting our financial shit together at that point. I sat down, I assessed everything. We figured out exactly where our money was going. We figured out we were spending way more in areas that we did not realize we were spending in. And it was one of those going from where is my money going to, oh, there it is. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
And we realized very quickly that the Dave Ramsey method was not going to work for us, because he is very like, if you have debt, do not walk in a restaurant. If you have debt, do not do anything that brings you happiness whatsoever. Like,
Yes.
I don't work that way. I don't live to just pay my bills. I do what I want kind of person. I think a lot of hairstylists are. So we very quickly, I think about 2 months in, decided we need to do this our own way. So we took a lot of the basic foundational principles and kind of maneuvered them in a way that worked well for us so that we could stay consistent. Because restricting yourself stops your consistency.
Yes.
Right? It's like saying,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna, eat carbs again. And then what happens? Like 2 weeks in, you just like eat an entire pizza.
Binge. Yep. Yep.
Right? So anyway, so 2 years to the day that I had that click of like, I need to get our financial shit together. Because thank goodness my husband was very like, yeah, sure, whatever. 2 years to the day, we paid off our last bit of debt besides our house, all of our consumer debt. We paid off our
Yeah.
car, all of our credit cards. So essentially, we gave ourselves this $24,000 a year raise because we were paying $24,000 a year over the course of 2 years to pay off that debt, which is insane to even
Wow.
think
Yeah.
about. And 8 months later, we bought a house in that neighborhood, and
Wow.
it's still we've been here. It'll be 6 years this December, and it still blows my mind that we were able to do that because 2016, Misty didn't even think this was ever an option. So why try?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now I'm on a mission to show stylists and beauty industries professionals in general that like you can do it. It doesn't have to be super hard to do. It does require change. It does require, self-reflection. Um, it's a lot deeper than just your bank account, like
Yeah.
for
Yes.
sure. But it is possible. And I like saying it in a way that people can actually relate to because I feel like there's this like you have the Dave Ramsey's of this restriction, you're never allowed to do anything. And then you have this like, crazy investment talk that sounds complicated. There's like not a lot of in between for the
Yeah.
ADHD creative brains to fully
Yes.
understand.
Yes. Very true.
Yes.
Very true. What I remember you talking about is your money story. And I
Mhm.
thought that was really interesting. And I don't think I ever really thought about it like that. And just, I think it was you that was talking about like, if you're going to talk about money with somebody or by yourself, like, don't sit at the kitchen table if that's where you remember your parents fighting about money. And that's where I
Yeah.
remember my parents fighting about money. And like,
Mhm.
what your money story says about you and how you spend your money and all that stuff. So,
Yep.
um, it is talk to me a little bit more about that and how people can
Mhm.
kind of like figure out and understand what their money story is.
Yeah. Because it wasn't taught, right? We picked up how to deal with money, how to feel about money, how to manage money from what we saw and what we were surrounded with. We either do exactly what we saw or we do the exact opposite. So, because that rebellious side of us.
Yeah.
So our money story, your past money story, especially if you're just starting out, and I talk about this when I talk about assessing your situation, because it's just as important to look at your numbers as it is to go back and figure out where your money story came from, is looking back and seeing what did I see growing up, right? I remember seeing my mom sitting at the kitchen table and, paying bills, she always had her checkbook registry
Mm-hmm.
thing. And, being stressed about that. I remember seeing my dad putting coins in the big, um,
Mm. Yes.
big water jug, right?
Uh-huh.
And that was like how he would get gas to go to work. And like, so I had divorced parents and I had this mix of, credit cards. You only live once, you know, take the trip, do the thing, but constant credit card debt. And then a mix of you need to work really, really hard just to make bare minimum. And you really still probably won't afford these things. Right.
Mm.
And so I had this mix of both. And I could look at that and go, oh my God, this is why I do what I do. Right. And
Yeah.
I think that we need to look back. And for some people, that's really difficult. So, like you said, one of my examples is if you always saw your parents fighting every time there was a conversation around money, you're going to be more hesitant to have a conversation around money with your significant other because your body literally holds on to that stuff. Like you literally, when you're having that conversation, your body is like, oh my God, I'm back as a child watching my parents fight over money. So you're
Mm-hmm.
going to get that anxiety and that uncomfortable feeling. So it's super important to kind of go back and figure out where it came from and then go, that doesn't have to be my story anymore. I can change that story. So
Mm, yeah.
pinpointing what that is sometimes the hardest part and it can be really emotional, like
Yeah.
really emotional for some.
Yeah. I feel like I've had a few different money things in my life. I've gotten into debt, and then I got out of debt, and then I got into debt, and then I got out of debt, and now I'm in debt again, and I'm trying to get out of it. And I did do the Dave Ramsey class back in the day.
Mhm.
I learned some good things, but I also just was like, why am I punishing myself? You know, it was like, you messed up. Too bad for you. Now
Yep.
you have to make penance until you're fixed. And it is hard to find the balance
Mm.
in, like, I need to live my life, but also everybody has debt, and it's not a bad thing. It's not shameful. You're not a sinner.
Right.
So
Right.
yes, and my money story was, we had a one income family, 5 kids. My mom homeschooled, and my dad didn't make lots of money, and we were always a little tight, and sometimes in our life we were way tighter, and we had to shop at the thrift store, and I always hated it so much. And then now I like to shop at the thrift store, which I think is
Right.
great. So I just remember my dad always being mad at my mom about not putting in receipts, and they did not believe in credit cards at all.
Mhm.
I don't, I think maybe they might own one credit card now in their mid 60s. And somehow they were able to buy houses and things, and everything was complicated for them. But I realized I needed to have credit cards kind of in this life. So I got some. But then
Mhm.
it's hard to get out of the debt spiral often.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, I probably have ADHD too. I'm a hairstylist of 19 years. I'm finally, like, the last, like, maybe 5 years, I've gotten my numbers better. I don't know them in and out. I'm still working on it. I have a bookkeeper,
Yeah.
but I don't know how to do my own budget because I'm like, I don't even
Mhm.
know if I'm going to make this money every month. And sometimes it changes, and I get so overwhelmed, and I still don't know how to do it. I've sat down multiple times, write things out, and then I'm like, well, now I need a business budget, and I don't know how to do that, plus a personal budget. And I've tried different apps, and I've tried different things, and I just don't know like how to
Yeah.
really start it. Honestly, I'm just in the middle of that again. I mean, I'm just turned 40, and I still barely have my shit together, you know? I was
Yeah.
able to buy a house by myself and different stuff, but again, life is expensive, and I mean, things come up. This year I was trying to save money and not do anything. And then all these things have come up that I have to do. Like, my sister's getting married. I have to go on a trip for her bachelorette party, and then all these other things happening. And I'm like, I'm never going to get out of debt again. And it's been a
Well,
really weird, slow year for hairstylists.
yeah,
And
it has
I
been
don't
a
know if
weird
it
year.
has for you, but I think it's the inflation. It's an election year. Everybody's changing their habits, I think, and doing hair differently. And it's stressful. So I'm kind of in the middle of that right now for my own life. So I don't know
Yeah.
if you have tips of helping people, like, kind of even get started. I don't know. I mean, I hate the word budget, and I remember you talking about that. So
Spending plan. I like spending plan
yes.
because at the
Okay,
end
good.
of the day, budget sounds restrictive, but spending
Hmm.
plan is just a plan for where you're going to spend your money.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all a budget or a spending plan is awareness. That's it. That's it. Nobody's
Yeah.
coming to check it. Nobody's gonna burn down your house if you go over. Like it's literally just to show you this is how much I'm bringing in, this is how much I'm spending, and this is where I'm gonna spend it.
Hmm.
Now, when it comes to an irregular income that so many of us in the beauty industry have, I always recommend having a number that you know you'll bring in. So even if you have 5 cancellations this week, I know that I'm going to bring in this much money.
Hmm.
And that's what you put in your spending plan. The beauty of that is you more than likely, especially if you keep it on the lower side, you more than likely are going to make more, which
Hmm.
means you have more to put towards whatever the goals are, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that may be. Savings, vacation, paying off debt, whatever. Um, but and then once so say for example, I'm just going to throw a low number. So say you say $1,000, I'm gonna bring $1,000 in a month, right? Um, but you always bring in 1,500 to 2,000. If 3 months in a row you're always bringing in 1,500, you're going to raise that a little bit, right?
Hmm.
Like
Okay.
that's your new baseline, but you more than likely you'll bring 2,000. You know what I mean? You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So it's not exact, but it's again, your spending plan is just for you. It's just for you.
Hmm.
Nobody's coming to check it. And like I always say, like make sure you put your weed in your spending plan. That's like my favorite thing that people
Yeah.
love when I say, because I want you to put in your spending plan everything that you spend on. Like people think your spending plan is just your bills, it's just your necessities. So then when you go to Starbucks, when you buy weed, when you get the thing that isn't, you know, typically in a preset budget, you think that you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But you need to put in anything that you spend your money on. I don't care if you like to throw $5 out the window every day because it makes you feel good. Like it needs to be in your spending plan. And
Mm,
all it is this is how much is coming in, right? This is where it's going to go before you actually spend it. So it's just like a something to look at and go, okay, I actually overspent here. So maybe I'm not going to go out to eat today. Or like it's just there to give you more options
yeah.
rather than just going at the end of the month and going, where did all my money go? Because now I'm more in debt and I don't
Yeah.
know where it went.
Yeah.
So it's not about perfection either. I think everyone, they start a budget and then they don't do it perfect. So they give up and they say they
Yeah.
don't know how to do a budget.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, you're doing the budget. It's not going to be perfect. I've never had a perfect budget. I always go over under something, you
Yeah.
know? But I'm aware of it and I can make my decisions based around it. I want to go back also to like inflation and things like that. We are surrounded by fear right now. It's an
Yeah.
election year. There is fear being shoved into our face. Everything is more expensive. That is a fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we focus on that, you're going to stay in scarcity mindset. You're going to stay there because
Mm-hmm.
that fear is always going to be there. And I guarantee that fear probably has been there since you were a child. 'Cause
Yep.
I know that I have been surrounded by it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to we cannot control a lot of that stuff, right? We can't really control inflation. We just can't, but we can control how we're managing our money, how we're running our business, all of those things. So I'm not one to like, oh, stay positive. Like that's not what I mean, but like being very clear and like aware of the thoughts that are happening around the fear-based messaging, around business, around spending and saving or debt can be super helpful for you as an individual to not feel like that stress. Because a lot of times we're stressing when we don't need to be stressing.
Yes.
And when we're used to stressing when we don't need to be stressing, even when you're doing well, it's not going to be enough. And you're still going to feel the stress.
Yeah, you feel weird because you don't have the stress. You're like, what's
Right.
wrong? I should be stressed about something.
Well, exactly. So
Yeah.
then you get into when is the next shoe going to drop, right? So then
Yeah.
you start going, oh, everything's going really well. When is it all going to fall apart? And then
Yeah.
what happens?
It
Something
falls
falls
apart.
apart because you're looking for something to
Uh-huh.
fall apart, right?
True.
So I think finding again, I know it sounds so simple. Awareness is everything. And again, awareness around where the money is going, around the bank account,
Yeah.
and around the way we're talking about money. Just saying, well, everything's expensive, right? Well, what is expensive?
Yeah.
Expensive is relative to who the person's saying it. So, like, yes, everything does cost more than it did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But even just saying everything's more expensive can be a little shift in mindset. Well, everything just costs more than it used to,
Yeah.
you know? So it's the tiny little things that don't seem like they matter that actually matter the most.
Yes. I think sometimes I tend to, and I'm working on this myself, I'll be like, no, I can't do that. I'm broke. And then I'm
Mhm.
like, what the heck? I'm not broke, but
Mhm.
I have to change. I'm like, no, I'm choosing not to do that right now because I'm doing something else or whatever. Like I do have to consciously tell
Yep.
myself that. And I do say it a lot where I'm just saying I'm trying to save money right now instead of I'm just broke. I'm broke,
Yep.
I'm broke, I'm broke because I'm not actually broke. I have bought a house by myself with no help. I own a business. I can do fun things even though I have some debt. I'm not broke. I have been broke,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
am not. And so I am but
Yeah.
just perpetuating that mindset in myself every time I say that, and I know it.
Mhm.
So it is hard to do. But what was I going to ask about
Well,
your?
and being broke and feeling broke are two very different things.
That is true.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's saying like I'm broke, saying I can't afford it, all of the I always say shift it to this is just not a priority right now. Because
Hmm.
one, you're not completely eliminating the idea.
Yeah.
So when we wanted to live in this neighborhood, we were eliminating the idea for so long. This just wasn't for us. No, we can never afford that. Like we literally were like, I'm not even going to try. It's not a
Yeah.
possibility. Why am I even going to try? But the
Yeah.
moment that you start making it a possibility, it's just not a priority right now. So
Yeah.
you're not saying that you can't do it. You're just saying right now, this isn't where I'm at, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So even that little tiny shift can go a long way. And it does take practice of being aware of it. And I'll even say we can't we're not making a priority right now. You know what I mean? Like I do it all
Yes.
the time, but it's
Yeah.
becoming more and more of a habit because I catch myself more often, especially with my son. I
Yeah.
try not to say that with him, but now he's starting to be a little mirror of me. That's been fun.
That's why I don't have children.
The other day we got a new car this year. And we have been really wanting a swimming pool, but we've had to like pause that completely because I decided to completely change my career at, almost 40. So he was like, I thought we were saving for a swimming pool. This car looks expensive. I feel like we could have bought a pool. And I'm like, you're not wrong. Like,
Oh my gosh, kids.
so
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
so I have a little me running around, which maybe is a good thing.
Oh my gosh. So, do you have like certain apps that you use? Are you like an Excel person? Do you like write things down? I don't know what works for me very well, honestly. I just bought myself like some planner to write things, like a budgeting type of thing. I haven't got it
Yeah.
yet, but so to write it down. And I feel like sometimes I need to write things down and see it, but then I also like apps that show me where all my money is going.
Yes.
I just get like so overwhelmed by the amount of things
Yeah.
all the time, and I don't really know how to, I don't know, start doing it. Or do you do it like every week? Like, how are you actually doing this, and how did you do it before
Yeah.
when you were paying off debt and stuff?
When I first started, we were sitting down weekly. We would plan our next month before the month began. So, for example, in the end of September, I would sit down and we would create our spending plan for October. We did that for the whole 2 years. We would sit down and really at the beginning, I think we would look at it. I mean, we would look at it daily. Like every time we spent, we would put it into the app. At that time, we were using Dave Ramsey's app. Honestly, still to this day, I still think the Every Dollar app is the easiest if you are an
Hmm.
app person. It
Yeah.
is straightforward and you don't have to pay for it. It is free. It's
No, they
straightforward.
made me pay for it.
You
I
don't have
downloaded it
to.
recently. Really?
You don't, yeah, you'll pay for it if you don't want to manually put it in. So I manually put everything in, so I didn't
Oh,
pay.
I see. So if
Yeah,
it
if it's
connects to
not
your bank
connected,
account?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
exactly.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
the most straightforward, in my opinion, it is here's how much I'm bringing in, here's where it's going. Great. Um, Rocket money is great for somebody who doesn't necessarily want to sit down and make a budget. You can make a budget in there, but it is really awesome for just awareness in general. So if somebody is like a little overwhelmed by a budget, but they also really want to just be more aware, you'll get an email when you have a big purchase that was not normal. You
Mm.
get like it kind of just like gives you that awareness, which I really like. And then I have in my permission to spend in my financial freedom bundle is I have a great spreadsheet. I need simplicity, period.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
the spreadsheet has visuals. That was like, I want graphs. I
Yeah.
want to see.
Yeah.
So it's I tried to get as close to the Dave Ramsey app as I could, where you put in your income and then you put in where it's all going to go. And then it kind of just shows you everything. I just had one of my clients who is one of my ADHD clients. I have a lot of them actually. It's
I
funny.
think most hairstylists
Um,
are.
Yes, tell me how easy it was. And I was like, oh my God, that's all I want to hear. Cause I was like, I just need ease. My clients need ease.
Yeah.
But I think we overthink it too. You know what I mean? So, like sitting down at least a minimum of once a month. I think when you first start, sitting and at least looking at it and tweaking it once a week is great.
Hmm.
Now we don't do a full on budget every month. Well, we kind of do, but it's not as like strenuous as it used to be. Now I'm to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm pretty aware,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I know when I go to the grocery store, I kind of know what not to like overindulge in that's going to like bring our, grocery budget super high. Like it becomes a habit,
Yeah. Yeah.
but at the beginning, I do recommend sitting down and doing it more often because you're still creating that habit and you're still finding that awareness.
Yeah. That's good.
Mhm.
I was thinking I probably need to start doing it weekly.
Yeah. I mean, it's good
Yeah.
to set up your month and then go in and kind of adjust weekly, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
because a lot of times it's good to set up your month because you'll have bills come out at different times. You get paid at different times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of easier to be able to, if you're just doing a week, sometimes you can get screwed when a bill comes in the next week that you didn't expect, you know?
Mm.
So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What, how were you working on like changing your habits when
Mhm.
you are doing stuff? I don't know if that is a good question, but how did you physically or mentally stop yourself from, I'm gonna go to the store and I'm wandering around and I'm buying stuff at Target or
Yep.
whatever? Like, what were some of the things that you had to
Yeah.
do to get yourself to stop doing those things?
I had to trick myself a lot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So our biggest thing at that time was going out to eat. We
Yeah.
were spending almost $1,000 a month going out to eat and had no idea we were doing it. We were doing Mexican on Friday because that's just what we did. We were doing a nice dinner on Saturday because we deserved it after a long week. And then we were doing brunch on Sunday. And that was an easy,
Yeah.
easy $200 in just the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
Yeah.
Not including during the week, not including extra drinks, extra,
Yeah.
easy. So
Yeah.
for us, it was food. So
Mm-hmm.
I still, it's around here somewhere. It's in my office somewhere. I wrote our goals on a piece of paper and I put them on my refrigerator. I looked at them every time I went to the refrigerator. And I
Mm-hmm.
would literally be like, I'm hungry. I want to order food. And I would go to the refrigerator and I would go, I really want to pay off this credit card.
Yeah.
Oh, I really want my car paid off. So I would literally remind myself of what it was that I was trying to do. I always tell my
Mm-hmm.
clients, put a post-it note on your credit card, you know, little things. The maybe tomorrow money challenge is one of my favorites where it's back to that awareness, right? You're walking around a store or you're flipping through your phone and you go, ooh, I like that dress. Maybe tomorrow, right? It's not going
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. We have this like scarcity, like I have to buy it right now. The
Mm-hmm.
things that you want aren't going anywhere. I don't care if someone says it's a sale. It's going to be on sale again next month. It always is, right?
Yeah. True.
So, so always kind of looking at something and going, I didn't plan on spending this money here. Maybe I'll just get it tomorrow. Guaranteed 80% of the time, you don't end up wanting it the next day. So
Mm-hmm.
putting that distance between, like having that patience and putting that distance in between, when you actually want something and then when you actually purchase it can go a really, really long way. Um, not going like I wouldn't go to Target. Like I just knew better. Like I would be like, I need batteries. And in the past I would go to Target and then I'd leave with, $200 worth
Mm-hmm.
of shit that I didn't need.
Yep.
And then it got to the point where I was like, no, I need batteries. I can go to CVS or I can go to, the convenience store or the grocery store.
Yeah.
Like, so not putting yourself in the position that is going to get you to
Mm-hmm.
go off the path.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes practice and it takes awareness. But yeah, I'd make a game out of it, the post-it
Mm-hmm.
notes, I'm all about reminding myself,
Yeah.
hey, we're not doing this right now. This isn't a priority. And I look back, there is nothing that I regret not buying.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Nothing that you regret not buying.
Yeah. You know what
So
I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so true. And we would set up, and something I recommend for people too, especially if we have the squirrel brains, I'm not diagnosed ADHD either, but I question it from time
Yeah.
to time, but I definitely need those dopamine
Yeah.
validation.
Yeah.
I need to treat myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we would put that into our spending plan. So we would, for example, the first thing we did, we had a very small credit card that we wanted to pay off first. We were doing the snowball. So
Uh-huh.
we're paying off the lowest balance up to the highest balance. So we said, okay, when we pay off this first one, we are going to work a very nice dinner into our budget because we weren't going out to eat. That was like our thing. We were like,
Yeah.
let's just not. And we surprisingly didn't miss it very much. But we budgeted in $300 to go to a nice steakhouse because we were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we paid this credit card off. But let me tell you what, when you plan to spend that much somewhere, it feels awesome.
Yeah.
It felt, I mean, I remember being like, oh, let's get the appetizer and this and that and the bottle of wine and
Yeah.
because we planned for it. We prepared for it. We rewarded ourselves. We got to sit at dinner and talk about how, look what we just did. We paid, I don't even remember how much it was at the time. It was probably like $5,000 off or something like that.
Yeah.
And it gave us celebration. So we would do that throughout our journey. And it didn't always have to be like paid off a whole credit card. It could be like, hey, we actually did really well sticking to our budget this month. Let's celebrate in this way. And it wasn't always $300. It could have been like, hey, like we get a little extra $50. I can go get a new sports bra at Lululemon, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like something
Yeah.
where it was just like a gift for ourselves for like being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the biggest one was we decided we had credit cards and then we had car payment. I said, once we paid off our credit cards, we did the math on if we start setting aside a certain amount for this long, how much longer are we going to put off our car payoffs if we want to go to Mexico? And it ended up being about 2.5 months that it would like extend our payoff time, right? So instead of paying it off in April, or I'm sorry, instead of paying it off in February, we ended up like it would be paid off in April, but we could go to Mexico for a week. So that's what we did. So
Mm-hmm.
once we started setting aside, I don't even remember how much it was. We started setting aside a couple hundred every month. That was not going into our debt payoff. It was going strictly towards this trip.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment we paid off our credit cards, all we had left was our car payment. We booked the trip with the cash that we saved.
Mm. Nice.
So I think that that awareness is everything, right?
Yeah.
Because we were aware of, well, if we do this, yes, it's going to set us back 2.5 months. Is it worth it? Yes, it is. And again, we sat on that beach and we were like, we did it. We paid off these credit cards. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
I think having those like gifts to yourself, or those celebrations, I like to call them,
Mm-hmm.
celebrating the wins. And it doesn't have to be a trip to Mexico. It could be, just sitting outside and having, your favorite beer, your favorite
Mm-hmm.
wine, and talking about how far you've come. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I think those are the things that'll keep you going. Sorry, I feel like I'm ranting.
No, I think this is all really helpful. And also go ahead and rant all you want. It's all good with me. Um, where were you? I had a question and I forgot it. I think my question was, the snowball thing is, do you still like think that that's a good way to do it, to start with your lowest credit card balance, not necessarily your lowest interest rate,
Mhm.
and work your way, because you do feel rewarded. That is how I had done it before. But I also have some credit cards with like almost 30% interest, and I'm like, holy fuck, you know?
I know it's crazy. I think whatever method you're going to be consistent with is what you should do. So
Yeah.
I have a buy by debt is what it's called. It's like a spreadsheet that creates your plan for you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a toggle in between Avalanche, which is paying off your highest interest rate first, and Snowball. Whatever is going to work for you. If you look at both of the numbers, you're not saving that much more money, actually, a lot of times, by switching to the Avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are going to get that dopamine hit and feel excited with the Snowball, then I think
Yeah.
that's what you should do. So
Yes.
I think whatever is going to work. I don't think there's a one size fits all for anybody.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Mm.
I know for me, I found a few little things that have helped me along the way as a hairstylist. When people hand me large amounts of cash, say I get like $600 in cash that week, which I don't always do, I will take that and I will go to the bank, into the bank, and pay off my credit card, or pay a big payment on a credit card at one time.
Yeah.
And that's helpful. But also sometimes I use my cash for, like my nails or whatever. But, then it's not accounted for because I'm not, you know,
Hmm.
Um, but I like that part. For me, it helps. But not everyone, obviously has the same job that I have that can just go do that.
Right.
And then I found this app. It used to be called Digit, I think, and now it's called Opportune. And what it does is like you have goals and you can set all these different things that you're trying to do, and it takes money out of your bank account like every day for you.
Oh,
It's
like a
only
little
linked.
bit every day.
Yeah, so you have your goal, and I have like three different saving ones for taxes. This has been the only way I've been able to actually decently save for taxes correctly, even though
Yeah.
it's still not enough, is it takes it out every day. And then I
Mhm.
set a new goal each quarter or whatever. And then I have some for travel, I have some for other things. So that has been helpful for
Yeah.
me. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's been good. But yeah, I'm in the middle of trying to do this all again. And
Yeah.
I get mad at myself, but I'm like, it's okay. This is how life is. Sometimes you actually have to have credit cards for things. And I'm glad I have it. But
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like debt is a tool, and we're lucky
yeah.
that it's a tool that we can use, and it's a neutral tool that we
Hmm.
decide, as an individual, as society, is good or
Yeah.
bad. You
Yeah.
know, you don't hear a lot of people complaining about their mortgage debt. Mortgage is
Yeah.
debt.
Yeah.
People act like, well, that's normal, but this isn't. And it's like, well, who decided that?
Yeah.
Who decided that? Like
Hmm.
nobody decided that.
Yeah.
So I think understanding that, like I have a lot of my clients come to me when they are, you know, after having babies or when they're going through some kind of big life transition and they find themselves in debt and they're like so shameful around it. And I'm like, my biggest question, especially with the ones that went into debt because of maternity leave, I'm like, if you didn't have that option, what would you have done? And like, well, I wouldn't have gotten any time with my baby. And I'm like, well, do you regret it? And they're like,
Yeah.
no. Like, then thank it. Like
Yeah.
that's great. I mean, you can still work to get out of it, but like
Yeah.
that's amazing that you have that, right? I would have
Mhm.
never been able to buy this house without a mortgage.
Yeah.
You know, that's debt. Like,
Hmm.
so I think that again, I think society's kind of screwed us a little bit of feeling like we're supposed to feel shame and we're supposed to judge ourselves for using a tool. Now, granted, can it be abused? Of course,
Yeah.
everything can, you know? Do we need to be going into debt for, you know, clothes that we don't need and things like that? No. And I think that's where the self-reflection comes in
Yeah.
and we need to just step back and, you know, change our habits up a little bit. But that is a neutral tool that's there for us to use.
Yeah. I know that when I started the Dave Ramsey thing, I didn't have savings. I didn't have an emergency fund. I had nothing, right? So he talks about having that $1,000 in an emergency fund first
Yep.
before you really work on it. And that was really helpful.
Hmm.
I still do not have my 3 to 6 months, which I realized during COVID would have been extremely helpful
Hmm.
for me to have. Plus, I need to technically have business 3 to 6 months too, which
Yeah.
that's a lot of money. I may
Mhm.
never get there, but at least having more than $1,000, because $1,000 is honestly nothing at this point anymore.
Yeah.
So, I worked hard to that and I continually put some money in there every month so that it gets more and more. But it has been helpful to
Well,
have.
and that habit of even if you're just putting like 5%, 2%, like even
Hmm.
the habit of just saving it is super helpful.
Yeah.
And it's not even with your business, like it's not like putting in 3 months of like everything you bring in. It's what are your bills,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So that can sometimes cut things down a little bit
Yeah.
significantly. But
Um, yeah. So, I don't remember what other questions I had for you because I think I asked them all, but tell me about your coaching stuff that you're doing, and is
Mhm.
it for anybody, or are you just doing it towards like hair beauty people or whatever?
So so far I've only worked with beauty professionals. What I teach technically isn't beauty related. I mean,
Hmm.
it is very personal finance.
Yeah.
Um, but I just have a very, very soft heart for the beauty industry. I've been in it
Yeah.
for 21 years. I
Hmm.
actually recently kind of switched out of like started talking to more broader audience and I'm actually pulling myself back into the beauty industry because my heart didn't feel as good in there.
Hmm.
So yeah, so yes, I can help all kinds of people that
Yeah.
are ready. I do one-on-one coaching. I have a course that is a self-paced course that has all the things in it,
Hmm.
like literally step by step of how to get yourself financially stable. And then I do the Cash Confident Creative, which is group coaching. So that's kind of for the
Hmm.
people who want a little bit more peer-to-peer interaction. You know, sometimes we just don't want to feel alone. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
so yeah, so I help all the people, but I love the beauty industry. It's
I mean, I do too. I have a
y'all
heart
are my
for both.
people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
People don't understand it unless they're in it, because people are just
Hmm.
like, but I don't understand. Why can't you just make a budget? I'm like, because if I have 12 clients canceled this week, I don't
Yep.
make money at
Yep.
all. They
Yeah.
don't get it. And I think that is hard for people to get. But I we see hairstylists everywhere, right? They're either living in luxury, and sometimes I'm like, are you really making that money, or are you faking it? Because people,
Hmm.
they gotta have a name brand this and a this and a this and a this. And it's just interesting to like see people on social media, right?
Yeah.
And what they choose to spend their money on, or how they're choosing to present themselves and all this stuff. And it's interesting. And I try not to compare myself to people either. And then I always
Yeah.
have
It
to
can be
remind myself
hard.
how far I've come.
Yeah,
So
and they can be really difficult, especially with social media nowadays. But
yeah.
I always encourage people to like, what is your version of success? Like, I have a client in the salon that her and her husband and her two kids sold their like close to $1 million home, and they are living in an RV at an RV park here in Virginia Beach, and they are traveling the world. And
Mhm.
that is success. Like
Mhm.
other people, they would never do that. Oh my God, that just you live in an RV, you know.
Yeah.
But like so I think that trying to put the blinders on can be hard nowadays, but like knowing your version of success and what success means to you and what you want your life to look like, because you have no idea if someone can even afford the shit that they post online.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a big thing happening now where influencers are renting Airbnbs and saying it's their home.
No? Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know why I keep seeing this stuff. Like I'm like
Interesting.
targeted for this stuff, but it's very interesting. Probably because I talk about like your own personal success.
Mhm.
Because a lot of things that we see, we don't know the story behind it. I went to Italy last year for a retreat and I ended up getting like upgraded accidentally. Like Delta made a mistake accidentally, not accidentally, but I like called them and was like, hey, this says the upgrade's $300 to one of the lay down beds, right?
Whoa.
It was $300 upgrade. They made a mistake and I was on it. I called them and I was like, this says right here, like this, that I can get this. And they're like, yeah, yep, you're right. Like we advertise it, you get it. I could not stop thinking about how people are looking at me like, how could she afford that? How could she afford that? I couldn't have afforded it. It would have been a $7,000 seat. And
It's
no,
insane.
like at that time, no, could
Yeah.
not. But I was lucky enough to have the situation happen. And the point is like there's this perspective. You could hear people when you got on, you could hear people be like, I would never pay that much. I don't like, oh, they, you know what I mean? Like, and it
Yeah.
was like this perception that people have of things. Like you have no idea. You don't know if somebody bought them the purse. You don't know if someone else
Mhm.
paid for the trip. You like,
Mhm.
we have no idea what's really going on. We don't know if they went so deep into debt to go and do these things or buy these things. So we put our own perception of what we think is happening. And that is another thing that I think blocks our own wealth and blocks our own, money mindset. And
Yeah.
it's not easy. I'm guilty. We're all guilty, right?
Mhm. Yep.
But again, it's back to that awareness and going, you know what? I have no idea what their situation actually is. And that's okay. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. So if we're going to be wrapping up, I would love it if you could like lay out the steps that you suggest to start or your tips, top tips or whatever you want to call it for people who are
Yeah.
listening to recap what we kind of talked about and how to get started on this.
Yep.
You can do that.
Assess your situation. Figure out where are you right now? Where is your money going? What is happening with your bank account, right? Set down. I always recommend I have a spreadsheet that can help. You can go on my Instagram and find it. It's a free resource.
Mhm.
Um, and or you can grab a highlighter and pieces of paper and I want you to go through your statements, not your balances. I want you to go through your
Mm.
statements.
Okay.
Where is your money going? Like
Mhm.
highlight the things that aren't necessities and add them up. How much are you spending at Target every month? How much are you spending at Starbucks every month? You do
Mhm.
not have to not do those things, but I want you very aware of what those things are adding up to at the end of the day, because
Mhm.
$27.40 a day is $10,000 a year.
Well,
Just a
yes, I remember you said that.
yeah.
That like blew my mind. I
Yes.
was like,
Just
"Oh
a
my
little
God."
perspective, like the tiny things add up
Yes.
way more than we realize.
Yeah.
So that is like the number one. I mean, I know some people that just do that and completely change the way that they look at their finances. So
Mm.
that's like step one, holy grail, like
Okay.
have to do that.
Yeah.
Number two, your money story. What is your money story? What's happening in your mind? What did you grow up seeing? What are you choosing to continue to, carry on the cycle, and what are you choosing to go, this is no longer my story? And then giving yourself a spending plan, making a spending plan, making a debt payoff plan, and figuring out how to celebrate your wins along the way. And that is the foundation of
Mhm.
financial freedom.
Yeah.
Foundation. I don't talk about investment. I don't talk about any of that. I talk about just the foundation of that so you can get comfortable and have confidence in your money and move forward from there.
I mean, that's the most important part. You can't invest if
Mhm.
you don't have any money, and there's other experts out there doing that.
Yep.
So it's really helpful to hear money stuff from women. So I appreciate
Yes.
hearing it from you. I know you're married and I'm not married, but I also follow the financial feminist Tori. I forgot her name, but I really like her.
Hmm.
She's got a lot of good tips and tricks too. And so it's really nice to hear it from women
Yeah.
and just like be real. So I really appreciate you coming on here and talking to my peeps who I don't, like I said, it's kind of a new podcast, but
That's all right.
might have some hairstylists on here. It might not, but I really want to start bringing up stuff that's like real stuff, like
Yeah.
this is
This is as
the
real
down
as it
and dirty.
gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I don't
everyone
like
can
to admit
relate.
it, but it's
Yeah.
important. And holding yourself accountable, I think, is also like really helpful.
Mhm.
Even if because I don't have a partner, my brother lives with me. I would like to start working with him and we can sit down and do it. Or maybe your best friend if you need the accountability like me, or if I guess you can join some money coaching groups is helpful too,
Yeah.
So
That's
just
what I'm here for.
yeah, that's what she's here for. Can you tell us where to find you on the interwebs and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me at Misty Jayne on Instagram. It's _ Misty Jayne _ and Jane with a Y. Everyone forgets
Okay.
the Y. And you can listen to the Starting Messy podcast. We have vulnerable conversations about all kinds of things. It's not just money,
Mhm.
although I do bring it up often.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the two best places to find me. I'm pretty much Misty Jayne everywhere. MistyJayne.com for all of the other things.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on
Thank
here.
you, Jenny. This was fun.
Yes, thanks.
Dancing in the wind and rain.